Jake Thompson and Emily Harper had been inseparable for 4 years. Living together in a stylish downtown apartment, they shared a life filled with laughter, late-night talks, and mutual support. Both worked demanding jobs, Jake as a software engineer and Emily as a graphic designer, balancing their careers with their relationship seamlessly. One chilly autumn morning, Emily received an unexpected offer, a prestigious design fellowship in Paris that would last for 6 months. Excited yet apprehensive, she shared the news with Jake. They sat together on their balcony, watching the city wake up below them. "This is an incredible opportunity, Em. You've worked so hard for this," Jake said, his voice filled with pride, but his eyes betraying a hint of sadness. Emily nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "I know. But what about us? 6 months apart will be tough." They discussed the logistics, frequent video calls, planned visits, and maintaining their strong connection despite the distance. Both agreed that supporting each other's dreams was paramount, believing their bond could withstand the temporary separation. The night before Emily's departure, they hosted a small farewell dinner with close friends. The evening was bittersweet, filled with toasts to new beginnings and heartfelt goodbyes. As the guests left, Jake walked Emily to the airport, holding her hand tightly. At the gate, Emily gave Jake a reassuring smile. "We'll make this work. I promise." Jake squeezed her hand back, trying to mask his anxiety. "I promise too." As Emily boarded the plane, Jake watched until she was just a speck in the distance, feeling a mix of pride for her achievement and a gnawing loneliness settling in his heart. 3 months into Emily's stay in Paris, Jake found himself sinking into a routine of work and solitary evenings. The apartment felt emptier without her vibrant presence. Determined to stay busy, he threw himself into a new project at work, hoping to distract himself from the void Emily had left. One evening, after a particularly long day at the office, Jake decided to attend a local community meetup organized by his building's social committee. The event was held in the lobby, adorned with colorful decorations and filled with neighbors eager to connect. That's when he met Mia Rodriguez, his new neighbor who had recently moved into the apartment next door. Mia was warm and friendly, with a contagious laugh and a passion for photography. She had an easygoing demeanor that immediately put Jake at ease. "Hey, I'm Mia. Just moved in last week," she introduced herself, extending a hand. "Jake," he replied, shaking her hand. "Welcome to the building." They struck up a conversation about their jobs, hobbies, and favorite local spots. Mia mentioned she loved exploring the city's hidden gems through her camera lens, while Jake shared his interest in hiking and technology. As the evening progressed, Jake found himself genuinely enjoying Mia's company. Her enthusiasm and positive energy were a refreshing change from the solitude he had grown accustomed to. By the end of the night, they exchanged numbers, agreeing to grab coffee sometime. Little did Jake know, this new friendship was about to take an unexpected and complicated turn. Over the next few weeks, Jake and Mia's friendship blossomed. They met regularly for coffee, attended art exhibits together, and even collaborated on a small photography project Mia was passionate about. Their interactions were effortless, filled with laughter and engaging conversations that made Jake forget his loneliness. One Saturday afternoon, Mia invited Jake to join her for a photo walk in the nearby botanical gardens. Excited to spend more time with her, he agreed without hesitation. The gardens were in full bloom, the vibrant colors providing the perfect backdrop for their photos. As they wandered through the picturesque paths, Mia shared her dreams of showcasing her work in international galleries. Jake listened intently, inspired by her dedication and creativity. During a quiet moment by the lily pond, Mia turned to Jake with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Jake, I've always admired your dedication at work. It's rare to meet someone so passionate and focused." Jake felt a blush rise to his cheeks. "Thanks, Mia. That means a lot coming from you." Their eyes met, and an unspoken tension filled the air. Jake couldn't deny the flutter in his chest, a feeling he hadn't experienced since his separation from Emily. Mia's presence was undeniably magnetic, stirring emotions he had long kept at bay. As the sun began to set, casting a golden hue over the gardens, Mia took a candid shot of Jake against the blooming flowers. She glanced at him, her smile soft and inviting. "You look happy here, Jake. It suits you." Jake couldn't help but smile back, feeling a connection that went beyond friendship. Little did he know, this moment was the beginning of a chain of events that would challenge his loyalty and reshape his life in ways he never imagined. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that something was changing between him and Mia. Their regular meetups had become the highlight of his days, providing a much-needed distraction from his loneliness. One evening, after a successful photo walk, Mia suggested they grab dinner at a new rooftop restaurant overlooking the city's skyline. As they sat under the twinkling lights, the conversation flowed effortlessly. Mia shared stories about her travels and the inspiration behind her photography, while Jake spoke about his projects and the challenges of working remotely. The chemistry between them was undeniable, each laugh and lingering glance building a silent tension. "Jake, have you ever thought about expanding your skills?" Mia asked, her eyes locking with his. Jake smiled, intrigued by her suggestion. "I've considered it, but I'm not sure where to start." Mia leaned in slightly, her voice soft. "Maybe we could learn together. It could be fun." The idea sparked something in Jake. The prospect of spending more time with Mia in a collaborative setting felt both exciting and natural. Little did he know, this decision was about to blur the lines of his commitment to Emily. Weeks turned into months, and Jake and Mia's collaboration deepened their bond. They attended workshops, experimented with new techniques, and spent countless hours discussing their creative visions. Their friendship had blossomed into something more intimate, yet neither dared to voice the unspoken attraction simmering beneath the surface. One late night, after a particularly inspiring session, Jake found himself lingering in the studio long after Mia had left. The city lights outside cast a warm glow through the windows, creating an intimate atmosphere. As he packed up his equipment, Mia returned, apologizing for the delay. "Sorry to keep you waiting," she said, her voice tinged with exhaustion. Jake glanced up, feeling a surge of emotions. "No problem. It's been a great session." There was a moment of comfortable silence before Mia spoke again. "Jake, can I ask you something personal?" He nodded, sensing the shift in her tone. "Sure. What's on your mind?" Mia hesitated, then took a deep breath. "Have you ever felt torn between two people?" Jake's heart skipped a beat. The question was loaded, hinting at a deeper struggle. "Sometimes, I guess. Relationships can be complicated." Mia reached out, placing her hand gently on his arm. "I understand. I felt it too." The contact sent a jolt through Jake. He knew he was standing on the edge of something he shouldn't, but the connection he felt with Mia was too strong to ignore. As they stood there, the room seemed to close in around them, the boundaries of friendship blurring into something more dangerous. The undeniable attraction between Jake and Mia reached its peak one rainy evening. After a grueling week at work, Mia invited Jake to her apartment for a casual dinner to unwind. The cozy setting, combined with the sound of rain tapping against the windows, created an atmosphere ripe for vulnerability. As they shared stories over dinner, the conversation gradually shifted to their personal lives. Mia opened up about her fears and insecurities, while Jake confessed his struggles with feeling disconnected during Emily's absence. The emotional intimacy drew them closer, their shared vulnerabilities forging a deeper connection. "I've missed having someone to talk to like this," Mia admitted, her eyes meeting Jake's with a longing that mirrored his own. Jake felt his resolve weakening. "I've missed it too." Before he could pull away, Mia reached across the table, her hand covering his. "Maybe we shouldn't keep ignoring these feelings." The tension was palpable as they sat inches apart, the line between friendship and something more dangerously thin. Jake's mind raced. Emily was months away, and the guilt of betraying her hung heavy on his conscience. Yet, the allure of Mia's presence was intoxicating. Unable to resist, Jake leaned in, their lips meeting in a passionate kiss that sealed their forbidden connection. The moment was electric, but it came with an immediate sense of dread. As they pulled apart, the reality of their actions began to sink in. "We can't," Jake whispered, the weight of his betrayal pressing down on him. Mia nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I know. This was a mistake." As the rain continued to fall outside, Jake knew that crossing this line would have profound consequences for all three of them. The fragile balance of his life was now irrevocably shattered, setting the stage for the turmoil and conflict that would follow. The weeks following Jake and Mia's forbidden night were a whirlwind of emotions and complications. Jake tried to keep his distance, but the aftermath of their encounter lingered, creating an invisible tension between them. Mia, sensing his turmoil, withdrew slightly, leaving Jake to grapple with guilt and confusion. One evening, as Jake was leaving work, he noticed a familiar figure standing outside his building. It was Emily, returning a day early from Paris due to unforeseen circumstances. Her unexpected arrival threw Jake into a panic. He hadn't anticipated facing her so soon, especially not under such strained circumstances. Emily approached him with a warm smile, unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface. "Jake, I'm back earlier than expected. Can we talk?" she asked, her eyes searching his for reassurance. Jake's heart raced. "Of course, Emily. Let's grab a coffee and catch up." As they sat down at a nearby cafe, the conversation flowed awkwardly. Emily shared stories about her abrupt return and the challenges she faced abroad, while Jake struggled to mask his inner turmoil. The air was thick with unspoken tension, and Jake couldn't shake the feeling that things were about to change dramatically. Unbeknownst to Jake, Mia had been watching from a distance. Her eyes darted between the two, a mix of jealousy and regret clouding her expression. Determined to keep her distance, she turned away, but the damage was already done. The dynamic between Jake and Emily had shifted, setting the stage for inevitable confrontations. Days turned into restless nights as Jake tried to maintain a semblance of normalcy. However, the strain of hiding his affair with Mia weighed heavily on him. The guilt gnawed at his conscience, making it harder to focus on work and everyday tasks. One afternoon, Emily decided to surprise Jake by visiting his office. She found him engrossed in a project, his usual confidence dimmed by the lingering guilt. As she approached his desk, Jake felt a surge of anxiety, fearing the worst. "Hey, Emily," he greeted her, forcing a smile. "What brings you here?" Emily sat down, her expression serious yet gentle. "I wanted to see how you're holding up. Being apart for so long was tough, and now that I'm back, I just want to make sure everything is okay between us." Jake's heart pounded in his chest. He knew he couldn't keep up the facade any longer. Taking a deep breath, he decided honesty was his only way out. "Emily, there's something I need to tell you. It's been eating away at me, and I can't keep it hidden anymore." Before he could continue, Mia walked into the office, her presence causing a ripple of tension. Emily looked up, her eyes narrowing as she took in the sight of Mia. "Mia? What are you doing here?" she asked, her tone laced with suspicion. Jake froze, the truth hanging in the air between them. "Emily, Mia, and we crossed a line. It was a mistake, and I'm so sorry." Emily's face fell, hurt and betrayal evident in her eyes. "How long has this been going on, Jake?" Mia stepped forward, her voice steady but remorseful. "Emily, I'm truly sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. It was a lapse in judgment, and I regret it deeply." The room was thick with tension as Emily processed the revelation. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. "I can't believe this. I thought we had something real, Jake. How could you do this to us?" Jake reached out, desperation in his eyes. "Please, Emily, let me explain. I made a terrible mistake, but I never wanted to hurt you." Emily shook her head, tears welling up. "I need time to think about all of this. I can't just forgive and forget." With that, she turned and left the office, leaving Jake and Mia alone amidst the chaos they had caused. Jake sank into his chair, overwhelmed by the consequences of his actions, while Mia looked on with a mix of regret and sadness. The aftermath of the confrontation left Jake's life in shambles. Emily's departure from the office was swift, her once vibrant presence now a ghost haunting Jake's daily routines. Work became a battleground of whispers and sideways glances, making every day a struggle to maintain professionalism amidst the personal turmoil. Mia, feeling the weight of her role in the situation, decided to distance herself from Jake completely. She packed her things and moved out of the building, leaving Jake with the remnants of their shattered friendship. The void left by Mia's departure only amplified Jake's feelings of loneliness and regret. Unable to cope with the mounting pressure, Jake sought solace in therapy. His sessions became a refuge, a place where he could confront his guilt and begin the painful process of self-forgiveness. Through introspection, he realized the depth of his mistakes and the importance of rebuilding his life with honesty and integrity. One evening, as Jake walked through a quiet park, he encountered Emily again. This time, she was alone, sitting on a bench lost in thought. Summoning his courage, Jake approached her. "Emily," he began softly, taking a seat beside her. "I know words can't fix what I've done, but I want you to know how truly sorry I am. You deserve better." Emily looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Jake, I don't know if I can ever trust you again. But seeing you here, being so sincere, gives me hope that you are working on becoming a better person." Jake nodded, feeling a flicker of hope amidst the despair. "I am, Emily. Every day, I'm trying to make amends and move forward." They sat in silence, the night enveloping them in a shared moment of vulnerability. Though the road to healing was long and uncertain, Jake felt a sense of purpose in striving to rebuild his life and earn back the trust he had lost. The weeks following Mia's departure were a blur of anxiety and self-reflection for Jake. He had immersed himself in his work, hoping to drown out the memories of his lapse in judgment. However, the shadow of Mia's manipulation loomed large, making it impossible to find peace. One late evening, as Jake was reviewing a crucial project proposal, his phone buzzed with a new email notification. Curious, he opened it to find a message from an anonymous sender titled, "We need to talk." The email contained only a brief note. "Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street tomorrow night. Come alone." Jake's heart raced. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was connected to the chaos Mia had left behind. Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to follow the mysterious invitation. The next night, under the cover of darkness, Jake arrived at the abandoned warehouse. The building stood silent and imposing, its broken windows reflecting the faint moonlight. Stepping inside, he was greeted by the sight of Mia standing in the center of the main hall, flanked by two unfamiliar men. "Mia," Jake demanded, his voice steady despite the tension. "Who are they?" Mia glanced at the men before addressing Jake directly. "These are partners I didn't mention before. We have unfinished business, and you need to understand the full extent of what's happening." Before Jake could respond, one of the men stepped forward, pulling out a folder filled with documents. "Jake, Mia has been working on more than just a relationship. She's been involved in corporate espionage, stealing sensitive information from your company to sell to competitors." Jake felt his world collapse. "What? Mia, how could you?" Mia's eyes welled up with tears. "I needed the money. Your company was about to lay off several employees, including my brother. I thought I could save him by selling the data." Jake stared in disbelief, the betrayal cutting deeper than he had imagined. "So, you used me to get access to the information?" Mia nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never meant for it to go this far. I'm sorry." The confrontation left Jake reeling. He realized that his personal mistake had unwittingly tied him to a much larger scheme, threatening not only his career, but the livelihoods of those he cared about. News of the corporate espionage scandal spread like wildfire, engulfing Jake's company in chaos. Executives were in a frenzy, employees were scared, and the company's reputation was on the brink of collapse. Jake found himself at the center of the storm, facing intense scrutiny from his superiors and media alike. One morning, Jake was summoned to the CEO's office. The air was thick with tension as the CEO, Mr. Reynolds, looked him over sternly. "Jake, we've received undeniable evidence of your involvement in this breach. You are hereby suspended pending further investigation." Jake's mind raced. "I had no idea Mia was involved in this. I trusted her, and she manipulated me to gain access to our systems." Mr. Reynolds shook his head. "Your personal affairs have directly impacted the company. We have to consider the broader implications of this breach." Feeling cornered and helpless, Jake left the office, his reputation in tatters. The once promising career he had built was now overshadowed by the scandal, and he struggled to find a way to clear his name. Desperate for answers, Jake reached out to Mia, determined to understand the full scope of her actions and to find a way to rectify the situation. However, Mia had disappeared without a trace, leaving Jake to navigate the fallout on his own. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure mounted. Legal battles ensued, and Jake faced the possibility of losing everything he had worked for. His personal life was in ruins, and the trust he had in others was shattered. Amidst the chaos, Emily remained distant, her pain and betrayal making reconciliation seem impossible. Jake knew he had to find a way to make amends, not just for his relationship with Emily, but for the sake of his own redemption. Determined to salvage what was left of his life, Jake took a bold step. He decided to cooperate fully with the investigation, providing all the information he had about Mia and her accomplices. He reached out to former colleagues and friends, piecing together the extent of Mia's deceit and the network she had built to facilitate the espionage. During one of his meetings with a trusted colleague, Jake discovered that Mia had a history of similar activities. She had manipulated others in the past, using charm and deceit to achieve her goals. Armed with this knowledge, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose to expose Mia's network and clear his name. Jake enlisted the help of a private investigator, Sarah, who had experience in corporate fraud cases. Together, they delved deeper into Mia's operations, uncovering a web of lies and criminal activities that extended far beyond their initial encounter. As they gathered evidence, Jake also focused on rebuilding his relationship with Emily. He knew that regaining her trust would be a long and difficult process, but he was committed to proving his sincerity. They began meeting regularly, slowly opening up about their feelings and the challenges they had faced during their separation. One pivotal evening, as Jake and Sarah reviewed the final pieces of evidence, they received a breakthrough. A key witness came forward, providing irrefutable proof of Mia's involvement and her manipulation of multiple employees to gain access to sensitive information. With the evidence in hand, Jake and Sarah presented their findings to Mr. Reynolds and the authorities. Mia and her accomplices were arrested, and the scandal began to lose momentum as the truth emerged. Jake's name was cleared, and the company started the process of rebuilding its reputation. In the aftermath, Jake found himself at a crossroads. The ordeal had taken a toll on him, but it had also instilled a newfound resilience and determination. He realized that his mistakes had led him to a path of self-discovery and growth. As he stood with Emily on the balcony of their rebuilt apartment, watching the sunset over the city, Jake felt a sense of hope for the future. The journey had been fraught with betrayal and hardship, but it had also brought clarity and the opportunity for a fresh start. "We've been through so much, Jake," Emily said softly, leaning into him. "But I see how much you've changed and grown. Maybe this is our chance to rebuild what we lost." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of his past lifting. "I want that, Emily. I want to make things right and move forward together." With a renewed sense of purpose and the support of the person he loved, Jake embraced the future, ready to leave the shadows of his past behind and forge a new, honest life. Jake Thompson stood outside the grand office building, the cool night air brushing against his face. The evidence he and Sarah had gathered was undeniable, and tonight was the culmination of their efforts. Mia Rodriguez and her accomplices were about to be exposed, and Jake knew this confrontation would determine his future. Inside, the boardroom was set for an urgent meeting. Mr. Reynolds, the CEO, sat at the head of the table, his expression stern. Jake entered, followed by Sarah. Mia and her two associates were already present, their faces betraying a mix of anxiety and defiance. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," Mr. Reynolds began, his voice commanding attention. "We have serious matters to address." Jake took a deep breath, stepping forward. "Mia, your actions have not only jeopardized our company's security, but also betrayed the trust of everyone here. The evidence clearly shows your involvement in the espionage scheme." Mia stood up, trying to maintain her composure. "Jake, you don't understand the pressure I was under. My brother's job was on the line, and I did what I had to do." Sarah interjected, holding up a folder of documents. "Mia, these emails and financial records prove that your motives were not just about saving your brother, but also personal gain. You've manipulated multiple employees to achieve your ends." Mia's facade crumbled as the room filled with tension. "This isn't over, Jake. You'll regret crossing me." Before the situation could escalate further, one of Mia's accomplices attempted to attack Jake, pulling a concealed weapon. Quick reflexes from Sarah disarmed the attacker, and security swiftly restrained the two conspirators. The meeting room erupted in chaos as law enforcement officers arrived to take Mia and her team into custody. As the dust settled, Mr. Reynolds addressed the room. This company stands for integrity and trust. Mia Rodriguez and her associates will face the consequences of their actions. Jake, your dedication to uncovering the truth is commendable. Jake felt a surge of relief and vindication. The nightmare was finally over, and he had played a crucial role in bringing the culprits to justice. As the officers led Mia away, Jake exchanged a meaningful glance with Sarah, acknowledging their hard-fought victory. With Mia and her accomplices behind bars, the company began the process of restoring its reputation. Jake was reinstated to his position, his name cleared of any wrongdoing. However, the journey to regain trust and rebuild his life was just beginning. Jake focused on mending his relationship with Emily. They met regularly, each conversation a step toward healing the deep wounds caused by his betrayal. Emily was hurt and cautious, but Jake's genuine remorse and consistent efforts to make amends gradually softened her stance. One evening, Jake invited Emily to a quiet dinner at their favorite restaurant. The atmosphere was intimate, the soft lighting casting a warm glow over their table. Jake reached across the table, taking Emily's hands in his. Emily, I know I have a lot to make up for, and I understand if you need more time. I just want you to know how deeply sorry I am and how committed I am to rebuilding our trust. Emily looked into his eyes, seeing the sincerity there. Jake, it's going to take time, but I can see that you're truly sorry. Let's take it one day at a time. Meanwhile, Jake continued his collaboration with Sarah, who had become both a trusted ally and a close friend. Together, they initiated community projects aimed at preventing corporate fraud and supporting employees facing personal crises. Their efforts not only helped others, but also provided Jake with a sense of purpose and fulfillment. As months passed, Jake's life began to stabilize. The support from his colleagues, the rekindled relationship with Emily, and the meaningful work with Sarah all contributed to his healing process. He learned to forgive himself, understanding that everyone makes mistakes and that growth comes from overcoming them. A year had passed since the chaos that had upended Jake's life. The scars of betrayal and deception had faded, replaced by resilience and hope. Jake stood on the stage of a local community center, preparing to give a speech about his journey of redemption and the importance of integrity in both personal and professional life. The room was filled with attentive faces, friends, colleagues, community members, and a few media representatives. Sarah stood beside him, offering a reassuring smile. Emily sat in the front row, her presence a silent testament to their mended relationship. Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of his experiences anchoring his words. Thank you all for being here today. A year ago, I found myself lost in a web of deceit and betrayal. I made choices that hurt the people I loved and jeopardized my career. But through the support of incredible people and a commitment to doing what's right, I was able to turn my life around. He paused, letting his words sink in. Integrity and honesty are the foundations of trust. Without them, relationships crumble and lives unravel. My story is a reminder that even in our darkest moments, there is a path to redemption if we are willing to take responsibility and make amends. The audience erupted in applause, their support fueling Jake's sense of accomplishment. As he concluded his speech, he felt a profound sense of closure and optimism for the future. After the event, Jake, Emily, and Sarah walked together through the bustling streets, their bond stronger than ever. They discussed plans for future projects, envisioning a world where trust and integrity prevailed. Under the city lights, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. He had faced his demons, rebuilt his life, and found peace in the connections he had forged. The journey had been arduous, but it had led him to a place of strength and fulfillment. Here's to new beginnings, Jake said, raising a glass to his friends. To new beginnings, they echoed, clinking their glasses together in celebration. As they stood together, the future stretched out before them, bright, promising, and full of endless possibilities. Jake knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he was ready to face them with honesty, courage, and the unwavering support of those who mattered most.